Are they doing anything different in their spread?
Yeah, they do a lot different, and people think spread means everybody runs the same thing. I don't think anybody's very close to anybody. What Mike Leach does is different than what Rich Rodriguez does, which is different than we do, which is different than what Todd Graham does, different than Gus Malzone, different than Watson Brown. So it's very tough on tape to see what tempo is because you just see plays and they're cut. You're not watching TV copies, so you don't know exactly how fast they get lined up or have any information like that. But they seem like they're more of a 3 and 4 wide receiver set team than we are. So there's a big difference from that standpoint.
So.
Coach Greatwood and Brian Jackson talked about the added benefit maybe of having Carson and Boyette almost be assistant coaches. Do you think they can have impact in that regard?
I mean, like anybody, they've been that way. But I mean, it's I think we've got great coaches in Coach Greatwood and Coach Neal. So I don't know if John and Carson are going to add anything that Steve and those guys do. We just want them around, I think, because they're part of our team. And whether you have the ability to play in the game or don't have the ability to play in the game, that's important that you're around and you're here for the team. But, in terms of Carson and John breaking down film and coming up with game plans, I don't see that happening.
I'm not going to that extreme, but like Brian Jackson was saying how on Saturday, Boyette was maybe seeing things from the sideline that maybe Neal wasn't paying attention to.
That always helps. I think it happens no matter where you are when kids get hurt.
Over here, Rob.
You've stressed not talking about injuries, not trying to let them be a distraction. Do you feel like that's carried over your team? Do you see any emotional lull when somebody goes down? Do you really feel like they're able to rally?
We always care about our players because our team's very close, and the same with our coaches. I mean, we feel for John and we feel for Carson, but we got to go play a game. I don't think the other team feels sorry for us.
Like when Josh got hurt in the game, do you feel like you guys are able to rally themselves quicker because of the philosophy you take and not like that?
No, I mean, I think you got to rally yourself quicker because you got to play the next snap. So, I mean, that's not different than anybody else. So, I mean, we have to play a 12-game schedule. So, in all the instances when we played them, those are the only teams available. So, I mean, it's either that or we don't play a game. So,
Eric?
Just back to John and Carson, just kind of seeing after everything that they've done for the program and under your leadership, how did you kind of take seeing how this happened to them, the way that their careers potentially end?
it's unfortunately part of the game, and like I've said before, it happens, and it happens everywhere in the country. Sark lost 3 players last week at Washington. The running back at Alabama's done. There's a wide receiver at South Florida. There's a kid at Tulane that just got injured. So, I mean, it's the nature of the business, and it's difficult for the individual, but as a team, we have to move on.
Questions? Come up here, Rob.
Do you personally have any input in scheduling? I mean, are you talking to guys like, oh, maybe we could do a game in a couple of years?
No, I don't talk to individual schools. We just know when we have an open date, what's available, and everybody's locked in. We just had a conversation about a game in 2021, actually. So, I mean, it's a long way out. And usually when you're stuck, sometimes you're stuck without a game because someone bought out. Like what happened to us with Kansas State. When you have to play how the cards are dealt with you, you try to map it out far enough in advance so that you don't have an open date. But, again, it seems like I always talk about scheduling, but we'd love to play a lot of great teams. But number one, people don't want to come to Autzen Stadium. And number two, it's who's available that week. So, you can go right now. If you need to get a game next year, you may not be able to get a game because everybody's playing somebody already. So it's not as easy as I think some people think. So.
Mechanics of scheduling, you're involved in conversations?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you have final say on matchups?
Yeah, I mean, Rob asked me do we want to play them, and yeah.
Rick Morgan.
Looking back to last Saturday's game, the turnovers and some penalties were a little bit uncharacteristic. I remember John Wooden used to say that he used to probably scold his team a little bit harder after a win than a loss. Was that kind of the situation last week, that there was a lot that you wanted to clean up and there was some renewed urgency this week in practice?
No. I mean, we approach every game the same exact way, and our corrections are made the same exact way. So I've never believed in that you scold them more when you win or you scold them less when you lose. It's if they make a mistake, then we need to correct that mistake. So.
Up here, Aaron.
Back to scheduling, Coach. I know this is one of those hypotheticals off in the future that you don't like, but I'm going to go there anyway. with the playoff system coming up in a couple of years, Final Four committee is going to select it. There's some theories out there that may lead to more big-time programs who have national championship aspirations seeking to play tougher teams, thinking that one loss against a top 10 team that's close is going to look better in the end than beating up on some teams you're favored to be beat by 40. Do you think that's possible? Do you think that could make it easier to get some of these teams who won't come to Austin to think we'll go to Austin? Because if we lose a close game, it may not hurt us as bad as it does today.
I have no idea because I've heard the other theory: schedule nobody so that you're undefeated. So until it plays itself out. I mean, are you going to take a one-loss team or an undefeated team?
If the one loss is to LSU as opposed to whipping a bunch of Fresno States.
All I know is if you go undefeated in those top conferences, you're going. So, but again, our schedule is made for the next couple of years.
Yeah,
so
no, I understand that.
it doesn't matter. You know, that's why hypotheticals. You know, I never really deal with them because our schedule is set. I think now till 18. So
Right.
we'll play with it.
Were you
So
talking to a cupcake in 2020?
what's that?
Were you talking to a cupcake?
No, I mean we
in
want to.
2021?
I want to play since I've been here. We want to play. K-State was off the map. We agreed to play LSU in a neutral site game. I mean, I want to play in those games, but the whole thing for your fans: be careful what you wish for because we won't be at home. You know, and then how come we don't get to see you play? Well, because no one's coming here. So we haven't had a lot of people. I'll give Coach D'Antonio at Michigan State credit. He wants to play home and home. We want to play home and home. We've had a lot of offers to play neutral site games, but I don't want to play neutral site games. I want to play in Autzen Stadium, and then we'll reciprocate and go play in their place. But there's not a lot of home and homes that have been offered up to us, and if they are, we'll receive those. You know, I think we got Texas A&M coming up. We've got Michigan State coming up. Those are exciting games for us in the future. But
Do you find that lack of competitive edge by some of those teams rather pathetic?
I don't care. I mean, I don't worry about things I don't control, so just move on. You know, I can sit there and lament all day long where I really wish these guys would play us if they're not going to play us. And to be honest with you, I'm concerned with coaching my team during the week, so